What's up YouTube, and welcome to another draw along with me, where today we're going to create this jackpot slots design. Now there's a couple of requirements that are in the description down below, including some fonts, and if you don't know how to install fonts, I'll also leave a link to exactly that, a little tutorial on how you can get them into Procreate. Now this is a slightly longer tutorial. It's also a two-part tutorial as well, because we're going to create this design first and draw it all out, and then there'll be a very small animation tutorial afterwards just to light it up and add some fun effects onto it. So I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. It is a little bit longer, but it hopefully will be nice and fun for you. So with all that said, let's get started. So once you've got your canvas and you're ready to go, we're going to go up to our layers. Now you will notice I've got my guide in here. This was just my initial sketch, so just ignore that. But you'll have an empty layer such as the one I've just created here. Then we're going to go to the colors of the palette and we're going to grab the darkest tone on the far right and drag that onto the screen. We're going to add in our little gradient blur in the middle. So we're going to go ahead now and go to our brush. We're going to go to Calligraphy. And we're going to go to the monoline brush. We're then going to go to our layers and create another new layer. And then go to our colors. And we're going to grab the second color down in that column. And we're going to draw a circle in the middle of the screen. So draw a circle and hold your pen at the end and pop your finger on the screen. You're going to want to make something roughly this sort of size and drag and drop the color in. So that you can grab your cursor. And if you turn on snapping down here in the bottom left, and you'll be able to go ahead and drag that into the center of the canvas, hitting the orange lines there to let you know you're nice and central. And then tap on your cursor when you're done. Then go to your layer and swipe this circle to the left and duplicate it. Grab your color and grab the bottom color in that column. Then drag and drop that into the center of the circle. Then grab your cursor and using the uniform option, just scale this down in size and position it in the center of the purple circle we made, so something like this. Then go to your layers and merge all three together, so pinch all three onto one and then go to your adjustments, go to Gaussian Blur and swipe from left to right, and if you go up to something roughly around about 50%, we'll get a nice sort of contrast between all the colors. So we've got the darker color on the outside fading into that nice purple center. Next, let's go ahead and work on the first item, which is going to be the jackpot sign at the very top. So I'm going to zoom in on our canvas just a little bit. And we're going to create a new layer. We're then going to go to our colors. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to grab the top color here in this column of reds. And we're going to go to our actions. We're going to turn on the drawing guide and we're going to edit the drawing guide because we want a nice symmetry line. So we're going to go to symmetry here on the far right. And then change the option to vertical. And change the color so you can see a line running down the middle of the screen. I've got mine set to white up here, so if I hit done. And we've now got our symmetry line. We want to go ahead and create the diamond that's going to run at the top. So with our monoline brush set and our size maxed out to 100%, if we check our layer, it will now say assisted on it, meaning if we draw on one side, it will reflect on the other. And we're going to go ahead and pop our pen on that center line and draw outwards from there. Just like so. And then we're going to come down to the center line again from this outer point. So draw in, and you want to make sure your little point there at the bottom underneath my pen is nicely lined up. Now because the bottom area here is slightly closer to us, we just want to thicken that up. So we're going to pop our pen in this gap here and we're going to draw in another line. But you can see if I just start to come off it and come up a little bit, we can thicken it up as it gets closer down towards us. Just a little bit more like this. And there we go, we've got our diamond ready for our lights. So we're going to go to our layers and we're going to create another new layer. We're going to drag it underneath our diamond and we're going to tap on the diamond and we're going to use the reference tool. Now every layer will now look at the reference tool, meaning we can go to our colors. We can grab this tone here, so the top of the fourth column, and drag and drop it into the center, and now the reference has been used for that layer. So now go back up to your layers and turn off the reference. Next, let's add in the lights. So we're going to go ahead and do that as we go now. So let's go ahead and create a new layer. We're going to go to our colors and we're going to go ahead and we're going to grab this yellow tone here in the top left of the palette. And we're going to go ahead and change our monoline brush size. We're going to drop it down and we're going to drop it down to about sort of 70%. And we're going to tap on that center line, adding in the first dot, which will be our light. Now we're only going to draw one light and we want to just position it on that center line. And we're going to go ahead and color that one in. So we're going to go to the layer, we're going to tap on it, and we're going to alpha lock it, meaning now we can only paint within the boundaries of that circle. We're then going to go to our colors, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to grab, let's first of all grab the lighter tone, so the one just to the right of it, so the second column, top color, and then go to your brush library, go to airbrushing and the soft brush, and we want to make this quite small, maybe around about 2 or 1%, and we're going to just sort of curve around this very bottom right edge. That'll give us a nice reflective sort of glow there. And we're going to go ahead and increase the brightness in the top left. So I've just reduced my brush size down a little bit, and we're just blending that color in like so. So we're just bringing in the lighter side a lot more. Then we can go to our colors and grab the darker tone again, so the original color, the first column top color, and just introduce a little bit more of a rounding effect on this lighter area here. So just right around the edge. And then we're going to go ahead and go to our colors. We're going to grab white by double tapping in the top left of the disc, and in the center we're just going to very slowly go round and round in a circle, adding in a brighter spot. And when we zoom out, we've got a cool little bulb there. So if we zoom in again, this is what you want to try and achieve: the lighter side, a big area up here, followed by a little sort of curve there. So that is your first bulb, and we're going to go ahead and go to our layer, and we're going to swipe it to the left and duplicate it. We're going to go to our layer options, and if I move it off to the left hand side, we're going to go to our layer options, and we're actually just going to go up a couple of colors because we want to get a slightly more darker tone. Now we're going to go to linear burn, but we're going to reduce this down quite a bit. So we're actually going to go down to about 30%. So linear burn 30%, and then pinch the two together. And there we go, we've got our first bulb all done. And now what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this bulb multiple times until we move it all the way down the frame. So we're going to go to our layers, and we're going to swipe the bulb to the left and duplicate it. Grab your cursor and just move that down to the left a little bit, staying right in the center. And you're going to want to continue that all the way down your frame. So I recommend you do the bulbs individually, because we want to, if I swipe that one to the left and duplicate it, we want to make sure this one here sits right in the corner. So what we do is, if by doing it individually, we can adjust them afterwards. I'm going to swipe all my layers to the left and just continue duplicating, making sure the gap is pretty consistent as we go. And swiping the layer to the left and duplicating it every single time till we meet our bulbs and the gaps are all very consistent. So if I pop mine there, I just need to bring the top ones down, for example, just a little bit. So I go back to a couple of these other bulbs, work out which one it is I need to move, and I can just move that down a smidge. So you'll end up with a line of your little lights there, and then what we can do is we can save some time. We can go to our layers and we can pinch all of those bulbs together. So let's pinch all of them together, swipe the layer to the left and duplicate it, and then grab our cursor. Let's then flip that line vertically and move it down, and we want to get this bulb smack bang in the center. Don't worry about this one over here for a second, but you may need to go ahead and just rotate potentially just this tiniest little bit, just to make sure that this bulb sits in the center and all your bulbs run in the middle of that area there. And if you do it correctly, you can pretty much get that bulb to lay on top, but we want this bulb here to be smack bang in the center, so that's our priority. Tap on your cursor, and if this one doesn't align, just simply go to your eraser, tap on the eraser and make sure you're on the monoline brush under calligraphy, and just get rid of this one. It's all good, we don't need it. Now if we go to our layers and pinch those two lines together and swipe them to the left and duplicate them, grab your cursor, flip it horizontal and move it over to the right hand side. So you just do everything sort of as little amount of steps as possible, and again just erase the bottom one and erase the top one on this occasion as well, so that all your bulbs there are all the way around. We can pinch both of those together. Now let's make this frame a little bit more 3D and give it some more perspective. So we're going to go to our layers and we want this shape here, so the actual red frame, and swipe it to the left and duplicate it. Then we're going to go to our colors and we're going to grab this tone here at the top of the fourth column. Then go back to your layers, and the bottom one out the two, drag and drop the color into the frame. Now you won't see any visual change, but we changed the layer underneath. Then you want to go to your cursor and just drag it down just a little bit, just so we can see the underside of the frame. and tap on your cursor when you're done. And if we zoom in, we're just going to go ahead and grab our brush. We're going to go to Calligraphy and the monoline brush. Make your brush size quite small, the size doesn't matter. We just want to link up these points here so they're straight lines on the edges. So we'll zoom out, move over to this side, and we can see there that one already lines up very well. So we're good. So now we want to go ahead and go to our layers, and we want to go to the diamond here. We want to tap on it and alpha lock it. And we want to go to our colors. And we want to go to our colors. And we want to grab the middle color here on the 4th column. We then want to go to our brush library, airbrushing and the soft brush. And let's increase our brush size to about 4%. And then go back to the layer, tap on it, and also drawing assist it. So now what you do on one side is done on the other. So I'm actually going to make my brush size about 5 or 6% and just darken up the underside here and also a little bit around the bottom here. So we're creating kind of a vignette effect here. There we go. And we're darkening up just around the frame and into the corners. And that's going to give you a nice little 3D look to it. And now you'll be able to see the inside of our nice little frame there. And then if we go to our layers, let's go up to the original top layer diamond, tap on it and alpha lock it. So this is the frame. We're then going to go to our colors, and we're going to grab this middle tone of the reds in the 5th column. We're going to go back to the layer, tap on it, and then using the soft airbrush, we're just going to very lightly just brush in some different lines here and there to just break up that red color and gives certain areas a little darker look. So it's just like a random few strokes through to just break up that solid red look. Now we're going to go ahead and go to our layers and go down a layer to the subsection here, tap on it and alpha lock it. And we're going to go to our colors, and we're going to grab the darker tone here in the 4th column. And towards the bottom here, we're just going to darken this up just a little bit in this corner and blend that out to the edges. Then we're going to go to our layers. Let's do the lights. Let's swipe the lights, so all the dots, swipe it to the left and duplicate it. The bottom one out the 2, tap on it and turn off the alpha lock. Tap on it and clipping mask it, so it's now clipped to the top frame. We're then going to go to our adjustments, Gaussian Blur, and we're going to swipe from left to right, and you see there we're just going to give our lights a nice little glow. So if we go up to something, say around about 4 or 5%, they'll end up with a nice little glow, and then we can tap on our adjustments when we're done. And if we go to our layers and tap on the N, so the blending mode will be set to normal by default. And if we scroll down and we go down to add, we'll end up with a really nice bright set of lights all the way around. Next, let's add in the Jackpot Sign. So we're actually done now with this area up here. So you do have the option, if you want to now pinch those layers together, and we will, so we're nice and consistent together. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to pinch all 5 of these layers up here into one. So now we've just got our little diamond shape up here. So then we're going to go up to our actions. Let's go to add, and let's add some text. We're going to first of all change the color, and we're going to grab this color here in the top left of the palette. And then looking at our text, we're going to double tap on it, and we're going to grab the keyboard, and we're going to type in jackpot with a capital J, of course, so jackpot, and then double tap on the text to select it. And then if you tap on this field here, we'll be able to change the font to what we need. Now, of course, there's links in the description down below to the correct fonts, so you'll be able to scroll up, and we need to find Ananda at the top here. And the first thing we want to do is increase the size. So you may have to just make the field a little bit wider, like I have to. And we want to increase the size of this up until we get to 54 is the correct size. So you can tap on here on size and tap in 54. And then grab your cursor and move that into the center, making sure we hit the orange line running through the middle of the canvas. Then what we also need to do, we want to thicken this up, but this font doesn't actually come with a thicker version. So we're going to swipe the font to the left and duplicate it. Tap on the top one out of the 2 and tap on it and go to edit text. And if you select all the text and grab your options, so just simply tap on, say, regular here. We want to check this option here, which is the outline. Now the outline actually makes the text slightly thicker, but gets rid of the inside. But once you tap on that and hit done, if I, for example, turn this layer on and off, we can see that it does add quite a bit of weight to the text. And then all we want to do is pinch the 2 text layers together, and it will become now a normal layer ready for us to add our effects to. So the first thing we're going to do is create a new layer, tap on it and clipping mask it. We're then going to go to our colors and we're going to grab this color here, the bottom left of the palette. We're going to go to our brush library, making sure we're still under airbrushing in the soft brush. And from side to side, so my brush size is about 6%, if not bigger, we could probably go up to about 9. We're just going to brush from left to right, adding in a nice sort of gradient towards the bottom edge here. That's all you pretty much need to add in there. You could probably go a bit darker, but a little something like this. And now we're going to add in a bunch of cool sort of edge lighting. So we're going to go to our layers. Now we're going to create a new layer at the top. I'm going to tap on it and clipping mask it. We're going to tap on the Jackpot layer, tap on it and use the option of select. Make sure color fill is turned off. It should look like this in grey. And then we want to invert the selection. So we've selected everything but the text. We then want to go to our colors and we want to grab this red first of all. So the second color in the first column. Then go back to your layer and the empty one at the top, tap on it and use the option of fill. Now you won't see any visual change, but your thumbnail will show everything in red on the whole canvas but the jackpot. Now what we want to do is we want to grab our cursor and we want to move this up towards the top left a little bit. And so what you can do is you've got a couple of options. If we actually tap on our cursor and zoom out a little bit, if we grab our cursor so you can see your whole canvas, you can tap a couple of times in the top left of your palette. So if I tap 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, tap on my cursor when I'm done, I can see there I've added this red extra layer on the inside of the text. Now we're going to go ahead and go to this layer, swipe it to the left and duplicate it. Tap on the layer and alpha lock it. And go to our colors and add in the next tone. Now the next tone is in fact this one here in the top left of the palette. So we're going to go ahead and go back to the layer, tap on it and use the option of fill. Now momentarily your red will change to yellow. So we're going to zoom out of our canvas. I'm going to grab my cursor and I'm just going to move it down towards the bottom right. And if I do so a little bit and then I'll go ahead and zoom in on the text for you. We've gone ahead and moved it down to the bottom right, meaning now the left-hand edge has this beautiful light tone on the side of it. Then tap on your cursor when you're done. Now what we're going to do is go up to our layers, and to save any confusion, we're just going to repeat the selection process. So we're going to create a new layer and tap on it and clipping mask it. We're going to go back to Jackpot, tap on it and use the option of select. Again, we're going to invert the selection. We're then going to go to our colors and grab the top color in the second column. Then go back to your layer, the empty layer at the top we just made, tap on it and we're going to go ahead and fill it. And we're going to go ahead and grab our cursor and zoom out of your canvas, and just towards the right hand side here, we're going to tap 5 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then tap on your cursor when you're done. And now we'll have added all these different effects on the text, which we can now adjust. So if we go up to our layers, the top one we just made, we're going to tap on the N and we're going to scroll down and change it to add first of all. And we're going to go ahead and go to our adjustments, Gaussian Blur, and we're going to swipe from left to right. And then this one's going to be a sort of 3 to 4% Gaussian Blur. And then tap on your cursor when you're done. We're then going to go to our layers and go down a layer to the middle tone. It is alpha locked from before, so tap on it and turn off the alpha lock. And go to your adjustments, Gaussian Blur, and swipe from left to right. And this will be a nice 3%. And tap on your Gaussian Blur when you're done. And then go back to your layers and go down to the red layer. Tap on this, Gaussian Blur, and swipe from left to right, adding in a 3% Gaussian Blur. And then tap on your adjustments when you're done. Now what you'll have done is you'll have made your text look super 3D with nice little red accents around it, and it's got a nice bright soft edge to it. Now what we also need to do is, while we're working on the text, create another new layer above the yellow. Tap on it and clipping mask it. We're going to go ahead and tap on our blending mode, and we're going to scroll down and we're going to go to linear light. We're going to go to our colors and we're going to grab this pink here at the middle of the second column. We're going to go to our brush and make sure it's still the soft brush, and we're going to reduce the size down. Now what we're doing is we're building up to anticipation of these neon lights here. So I'm just going to start to stroke underneath. Now my brush size is about 2%. I'm going to stroke underneath here on this bottom edge, because we're going to end up with some really nice, as I said, bright neon vibes underneath. So a little bit of color here, maybe a little bit of color in there too, and then around the bottom edge of pretty much all of the text. So just around these bottom edges, adding in some nice pink. Now if you add any here, for example, a little bit of spillage, just go to your eraser, tap on the eraser and go to airbrushing and the soft brush. Reduce that down and just get rid of it here. And then switch back to your brush where we're just going to brighten up the edge here. A little bit more under there, a little bit more under here, and a little bit more under there too. And now that will nicely reflect the neon vibes that we're going to add underneath. So that's actually it for the top area. That's the jackpot text done, and we can go ahead and pinch the jackpot text all into one layer. And there we go, that is all in one. We can now go ahead and work on the slots here, so the slots text. So we're going to go ahead and create a new layer. We're going to go to our colors, and we're going to grab this tone here at the top of the fourth column from the right. We're going to go to our brush library. We're going to go to calligraphy and the monoline brush. We're going to zoom in here and we're going to draw a circle like so, and hold your pen down at the end and pop your finger on the screen. You get a nice perfect circle, and for size we want something like this. And drag and drop your colour in. Now the actual size of mine, if I go to mine and tap on the node in the top right, is 160 by 160. And then tap on your cursor when you're done. What we're then also going to do is go to the layer, tap on it, and we're going to alpha lock it. We're going to grab our colours and we're going to grab the second colour down in this column that we're working with, so this one here. We're then going to go to our brush library, back to airbrushing and the soft brush. The brush size is going to need to be set to about 3 or 4%, and just around the outside only. We're just going to go around in a circle a few times, make sure it's nice and even as you go. I'm going to add in some nice pink right around this bright edge. This is where the neon bar is going to sit on top of, so blending that out towards the center. So there we go, that's all you need to create for this. We're then going to go to our layers and create a new layer. We're going to go to our colors and we're going to grab the bottom color in the column that we're currently working in. We're going to go to our brush library and switch back to calligraphy and the monoline brush. Brush size, that's pretty good, so we can go ahead and rock with a 3%. And if you want to, you can go ahead and draw in a circle. Hold your pen down and pop your finger on the screen, and you want to make it slightly smaller than the one you've already made to that sort of size. And then what we want to do is we want to go ahead and swipe that layer to the left and duplicate it. The bottom one out the two. Go to our layer option for it and scroll down and change it to add. And then go to your adjustments, Gaussian Blur, and swipe from left to right. And there we go, that's where that neon really comes to life. And we're going to go up to about 3% there. And tap on your adjustments when you're done. And if you zoom out, you've got this really awesome bright light. And then what we're going to do is go back up to our layers, and the top ring out of the two that we just had, so the original line that we just had, tap on it and change its layer effect to add as well. By default it will make it white because it will make it super bright, but if you lower the opacity down, if you get to something roughly around about sort of 40 to 45%, you'll end up with something like this, where we've got a nice bright ring, but it's not too much. And there we go, that's one done. Now we only have to do this once, so we're going to go to our layers now and we're going to pinch all three of those layers together. We're going to go ahead now and go to our colors and grab this top tone here, so the column just beside what we were working with, the fifth column from the right, the top color. We're going to add in our next letter, so if we go to our actions and add a bit of text, so we're going to go to add text and we're going to type in capital S. We're going to select that text by selecting it and double tapping on it. We're going to change its font and we're going to scroll down and we're going to grab Futura and we're going to go to bold. Now the size, let's increase that up a little bit. We're going to go up to about 17.5 for a second, and that should be good. In fact, let's double tap on it again. Let's get that correct size. Let's make that a little bit bigger. I think about sort of 21 will do the trick, and hit done when you're ready. So 21 to the size, and pop it in the center of that circle there, possibly a pixel higher there. And that's our first letter in. But we want to add a little bit of color onto this as well, so we're going to go to the layer and create a new layer above it, tap on it, and we're going to clipping mask it. We're going to go to our colors and we're going to grab the yellow underneath the white that we selected. We're going to go to our brush, go to airbrushing and the soft brush, and the size is set to about 3%. We're just adding in a little bit of a yellow gradient down, so bright yellow towards the bottom, fading out into white. Next, what we're going to go ahead and do is go to our layers, and we're going to duplicate all of these layers multiple times. So we're going to go ahead and go to the original ring color here, swipe it to the left and duplicate it. Grab your cursor. And the first one you want to do really is to move it smack bang into the center. This will keep things nice and tidy. Now, if you go to snapping and turn on snapping, you'll get these 3 blue lines, which lets you know you've moved perfectly horizontal to the right hand side. And if we hit the orange line running down the middle, that lets us know we're smack bang in the center of our canvas, and we can tap on our cursor when we're done. Then we can grab our layer, swipe it to the left and duplicate it. Grab your cursor and move one into the gap until it looks about even. And tap on your cursor when you're done. And then go to your layers. The top 2 that we just kept duplicating, pinch them together and swipe them to the left and duplicate it. So that you can now grab your cursor and move these 2 off to the right hand side. And again, making sure the gap now pretty much looks exactly the same between these. And that looks pretty good. Tap on your cursor when you're done. And if we take a look at it, we can then go back up to our layers and pinch all 5 of them together. So it's using the same object multiple times. We do want to add in a little bit of a 3D effect here. So we're going to go ahead and go to our layer and swipe it to the left and duplicate it. The bottom one out the 2, grab your colors and grab the darker tone at the top of this column, so the 4th column from the right. And go back to your layer, tap on it and use the option of fill. Then go to your cursor. And we're going to want to uniform this down in size just a little bit and move it down and into the center. So a little bit more perspective so we can see the side profile and the underside of it. And tap on your cursor when you're done. Now each one of these now will have a nice little bit of a 3D element to it. And what we want to do is we want to go ahead and emphasize the lighting around it. So we're going to go to our colors first of all and grab this pink, so the middle color. Then go back to your brush library and make sure it's still the soft airbrush, which it is. And we're going to go ahead and start adding in some color. So I'm going to make my brush size about 2%. And in this area here, I'm just going to add in some color, just where it sort of goes round the base. I'm going to do the same here as well. So pointing them all towards that center area. It's a little bit of sort of pink metal look to it. Here too in the middle as well, we're going to add in some little chamfered lines. And then again here as well. And a little bit there. A little bit here and a little bit here. Now of course, just because we've got some here, there's also lights around it which we'll be casting onto here as well. So we're going to go back up to our colors and grab the top left color in the palette and keeping the same brush exactly how we got it, we're just going to take a look and see what would be affected. So here we've got a light that's bouncing onto here, so can we just introduce the tiniest little bit of yellow? You can see there just on the edge. These won't have any effect, but there is a bulb there, so we could add in a little bit of yellow, say here. There's a bulb here which is going to affect this edge, so we'll just brush in some yellow into there and just blend that out. We've got 3 bulbs really here, so we could start to just round the bottom edge, really brighten up these areas right close to the edge. You can see there we've got a nice little bit of yellow on the underside of that one. Here we've got another bulb that's pointing right into there. Nice bit of yellow on there. And then here we've got a little bit at the top, and there's probably a bulb here too, so we could just add in a little bit of yellow, and that's fine. Now our sort of lights that sit around it are nicely affecting that area as well. We of course need to add in the rest of the letters, so let's go back to our layers. We can pinch those 2 that we were working on together, so we can save on our layer count. And the S and the layer above we need to duplicate a couple of times. So what we're going to do is we're going to select both of those, group them together, collapse the group down, and then swipe the group to the left and duplicate it. Grab your cursor on the top group and move it across to the right. Again, you want to try and hit those blue lines to let you know you've moved perfectly to the right. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to the layer, go into the group and go to the S, and we're going to tap on it and we're going to edit that text. We're going to double tap on it to select it, grab your keyboard, and we're going to enter L. The gradient will already be on it, of course. And then we can go back to our layers. If you're concerned about your layer count, the original S, you can tap on it and flatten it if you wish. So it's into one layer. And then the group that's still got the text and the effect in, swipe it to the left and duplicate it. Grab your cursor and move that to the right hand side. like so. And we're just going to keep doing it in that fashion. So go back up to your group for the last group that you just made. Edit the L by tapping on it and edit text. Double tap on it. Tap on your keyboard. We're going to go to O. We're then going to go back to our layers. Collapse that group down. And the previous group that's got the L in, just tap on it, flatten it. And you can even merge the S and the L together. Just to save on your layers. The group above, swipe it to the left and duplicate it. To your cursor, move it to the right, and of course on this one we're going to change it to T. So we're going to go back up to the layers, inside that group, tap on the O, tap on it again and edit it, double tap on the O, tap on the keyboard and change that to T. Go back to your layers, we're going to go ahead and go back to the original group, tap on it and flatten it, and then pinch the O to the S and the L. And then the T group, swipe it to the left and duplicate it. Grab your cursor. And you just want to move that to the right hand side. Tap on your cursor. Then go back to the layer. Grab the T that's on the right, tap on it and edit it. Change it to S. So just S will do. And tap on your cursor when you're done. Then what you want to do is go to your layers. The group that's got the S on the far right, tap on it and flatten it. The T group, tap on it and flatten it. And then you can pinch all the letters down. And you can, if you want to, pinch the letters actually to the neon rings as well, and that'll save on your layer count even further. So we've got jackpot and slots. Now we actually need to add the actual slot machine. So this is why we're going to add in some nice big shapes that are going to cover up sort of the bottom edge here. So we're going to go ahead and create a new layer. We're going to go to our colors. And for the gold, we're going to grab this color here in the top left of the palette. We're going to go to our selection tool. We're going to use rectangle and we're going to turn on color fill. Now we're going to want to draw a box roughly this size, and I'll give you the dimensions in a second if you want the exact size. So something roughly size-wise like this. And tap on your selection tool when you're done. And if I grab my cursor and give you the size is 116 by 463. Now what we want to do is, just while we've got the cursor, so tap on your cursor, just move it into the center point, as always, making sure we're nice and central, because we're going to use some symmetry options later. I then want to go ahead and grab the Distort Tool, and just bring this top left node in a little bit, and equally bring in the top right node just a little bit as well. And then tap on your cursor when you're done. That will just give a bit more perspective. We're kind of looking at it from underneath ever so slightly, which is why you can see the underside of the slots. And I'm going to go back to my cursor and just move it down just a smidge so that those slots are sitting nicely, just sort of right near it. Now the edges are a bit too sharp, so we're going to go ahead and go to our layer, tap on it and drawing assist it. We're going to go to our brush and we're going to go to calligraphy and the monoline. The monoline is currently set to 3% because all we need to do is at the top here, create an arc and then hold your pen down and just align that corner to corner like so. And drag and drop your color into that gap. That will give us a nice more rounded cylindrical effect that's looking a little bit sort of more rounded. And you may need to go into each corner with the eraser. Change your eraser to the monoline brush under calligraphy, and just as a little bit of tidy up, you might just need to go ahead and just round off these corners and adjust this corner here too. Just a little bit. And we want to actually do this step because we want to round off the corners a little bit more. So just really round them off, giving a nice softer, less sort of sharp look. So top left and top right especially, we want to go in and just make sure that that is looking nice and tidy, which it is. So we can now go ahead and start to create sort of the inside area. So let's go to our layer, swipe it to the left and duplicate it. And we want to go to our colors and we want to grab this color here. Let's grab this tone here. So the middle color in the fourth column, drag and drop it into the new shape we just made. And then grab your cursor and we want to go ahead and use the uniform option first of all, scale it down in size and position that, should I say, right in the center of our little golden area. And then you may need to grab the freeform option and just bring this size down in terms of height, both from the bottom and from the top. Give you something a little bit more like this. So now we've got a golden frame running around the outside. That's going to give us plenty of space to add in our sort of gold chromatic effect. But let's also start to work on the slots as well. So let's go to our layer again, swipe that to the left and duplicate it. Grab your colors and grab this color here at the top of the 5th column from the right. Drag and drop it in. Then grab your cursor and again grab your uniform option and scale this down. Now these are actually going to be the actual slot, sort of the actual rings that are going to be rotating inside. So we can grab our freeform option again once you've scaled it down and just make them a little bit smaller in height, but we want them to be nice and central. And then tap on your cursor when you're done. So we're reusing shapes constantly to save us a little bit of time. Then what we're also going to do is go to the layer. We're going to tap on this layer and we're going to go ahead and make sure it's masked and it's drawing assisted. So it should already say assisted. Now on the mask, we need black selected, which we have. And we need our brush to be the monoline brush. We're going to erase the gap that is going to run in between all 3 of the sort of rotating rings there. So we're going to make our brush size. What size could we go to? We could go a bit bigger than that. We can go up to about sort of 30%. And we're going to create a curved sort of line that's going to separate these evenly in thirds. So it may take a couple of attempts and no doubt it will me too. So we're just going to go ahead and create an arc. And then hold your pen down at the end to create a nice smooth arc. And you can let go when you've got something a little bit like this. So we're just separating all 3 of them there. And the middle one has a bit more of a warp look to it because it's the closest one to us. So inside here, first layer we're going to work on is the white one while we're working on it already. So let's tap on it. And first of all, let's alpha lock it, meaning we can only paint in the white area. We're going to go to our colors and we're going to grab this color here at let's grab this one here in the bottom left of the palette. Let's then go to our brush library and go to airbrushing and the soft brush. Let's make our brush size roughly around about sort of 7 or 8%. And towards the bottom, we're just going to gloss left to right very lightly with your pressure until we start to really sort of fade them out towards the bottom and repeat at the top. So backwards and forwards, left to right, and I'm going to blur those out so that they sort of rotate round and we can't see them because there's no light sort of landing on them at all. So a little something like this. We can also add some nice sort of more curved looks to the actual areas here. So we're going to go to our colors and grab the top color here again of the 5th column from the right. Reduce your brush size down to about sort of 2%. And you're going to want to zoom in and you're just going to want to sort of towards the middle area. In fact, let's make the brush size a little bit bigger than a small 2%. Just in the center of this gap, just sort of run your pen up and down. Now it's going to sort of not have much effect towards the center, but as you sort of fade into the areas that are starting to roll off, you're just going to make the object look less sort of flat and sort of front facing. It's going to have more of a curved edge to it. So just a little something like that. Don't go all the way down though, because that is a very dark area, so it just rolls away. So next, let's go ahead and add in the actual 7 that's going to sit in the middle. Let's go to our layers and create a new layer. Let's then go to our actions and add text. We're going to double tap on the text. We're going to change the font and we're going to scroll up and we're going to use the font that's in the description, Buffalo Nickel. And if we go to our keyboard and we grab number 7, we're going to first of all want to select that, grab the size and make that a lot bigger, probably up to about sort of 95% or pretty much, or 96 points should I say. And then go to your colors and we're going to go ahead and grab this red here at the top of the 5th column. Then grab your cursor and just move that into the center. Now that looks okay for size. We could probably actually make that a little bit smaller. So with the uniform option, I'm just going to scale this down to a height of 451 there. And then making sure it sits in the center nicely. Tap on your cursor when you're done. Next, let's go ahead and just give this 7 an outline. So we're going to go up to our layers and we're going to go to the 7 and swipe it to the left and duplicate it. Let's just work on the top one so we can see the changes we're making. Tap on the layer and edit the text. We're going to want to tap on the text to select it. We're going to want to go to regular and then change the option down here to outline. And then go to our colors and grab the one in the top left of the palette. So what we'll have done is we'll have changed the text to an outline option and we'll have given it a nice rounded look on the outside with the yellow tone. Let's then go ahead and go to the layers. What we can do at this point is actually pinch the two 7s together. And with them pinched together, we're going to create a new layer above them. Tap on the layer and clipping mask it. We're going to go ahead and go to our colors and go to the tone here in the bottom left of the palette. And we're going to go to our brush library, making sure it's still the soft brush, which it is. Make your brush size roughly around about sort of 5 to 6%, and gloss from left to right, darkening it up towards the bottom. Now just a little bit of a gradient so that we can go up to our layers. And if I move the 7 off to the left here, if we tap on normal and scroll down a little bit, we're going to get to the option of overlay, which is then going to add in a nice little sort of gradient of color. We'll end up with a sort of more punchy, darker tone down here compared to the softer yellow towards the top there. So that's our 7 done with. So we can actually go to our layers and pinch the effect to the 7. I'm actually on this occasion just going to grab my cursor and the uniform option and just scale this down in size just a little bit more until we get a height of 157 there, and putting it right in the center of that ring. Tap on our cursor when we're done. And we're going to duplicate it and move it across. So let's go to our layers and swipe it to the left and duplicate it. Grab your cursor, move the 7 perfectly across. And just to add some perspective, we're going to go to warp. And we're going to move the middle third here, move it to the left, move it to the left, and move it to the left. Till you end up with something more like this. Tap on your cursor when you're done. And then we're going to go back to our layers and the original 7, not the one on the left, the middle one. Swipe that to the left and duplicate it. Grab your cursor. You'll need to go to uniform first and move it across, hitting those blue lines to let you know you've perfectly moved it to the right hand side. And then when you're in there, grab the warp tool and move the middle third to the right. So middle, middle, and middle. And then tap on your cursor when you're done, and now you'll have sort of given them a little bit more perspective on the outside. We can then go to the layers and pinch all those 7s together. Now there would be other little objects on the actual rings as well, and I've created a few different images that you can use for today's design. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in photos. Now you'll need to of course download these photos and add them to your library first of all. But once you've got them, just grab your photos and drag the Photos app to the left hand side here. And once you do, you'll just need to navigate to the icons that I've given you. And we're first of all going to go ahead and drag in the watermelon, so the first one. So if we take a look at it, that's what it looks like. And I've dragged it onto the screen there. And then you can go ahead and just move this off to the left, just like so. And you get this little tab, and we'll come back to that in a second. We're going to go ahead and reduce the size down of the watermelon and put it into position. Now you can put these in any order you want. If you want to change them up to mine, you can do. But just roughly make them that sort of size and grab your freeform and flatten them down, because we're not seeing them front on. They're obviously sort of rounding towards the bottom and the top, so we can't really see them too well. And then we're going to go to our layers. And where we've added it just above the white dials, we're going to tap on it and clipping mask it. And change its layer effect. We're going to scroll down and we're going to go to soft light. Now that will just nicely blend that in to the rest of the design. And let's continue to add in even more. So we can go up to our layers. With where we are now is fine. So we can go ahead and bring in our photos again. Drag in the heart this time. Move our photos off to the left. And we're going to scale this heart down in size. Move it over to here. And flatten it down using freeform, and then tap on the layer, tap on it and clipping mask it, change its layer option again to soft light, and you'll see it just sort of blend in there at the bottom. We're going to go to our photos again and bring in another fruit, and we're going to move that out of the way, and we're going to go ahead and scale this down using the uniform option. We're going to use the freeform option to flatten it down. And we're going to move this one up here this time. So really move that up and out the frame a little bit. Then go back to the layer, tap on it and clipping mask it, and change its layer effect again from normal to soft light. And then I'm going to bring in my photos one more time and bring in the cherries. Move my photos out of the way. And we're going to scale these down. And we're going to move them into position just here. Using the freeform option, scale them down, flatten them. Go back up to your layer, tap on it and clipping mask it, and change its layer effect, of course, from normal to soft light. And there we go. We've got 4 different fruits in here, or items as well, including the heart. And now we can duplicate those layers and just fill in the last 2 gaps. So we can duplicate the cherries, for example, move them up here. And I'm going to go to the watermelon, swipe that to the left and duplicate it. Grab my cursor and just move that up towards the top right here. And that will finish up our little slot area in the middle. So we're going to go to our layers and pinch all of the fruits together. And if we tap away, we've then done the slots in the center. Now these neon areas, while we're working on these sort of dials, would cast a lot of light onto here as well. So we're going to go to our layers. We're going to create a new layer. We're going to tap on this layer and clipping mask it so it's just above the fruits. And we're going to tap on the layer and we're going to drawing assist it. We're going to go to our colors and we're going to grab this pink here, the 4th column from the right, the middle color. And our brush is still set to the soft airbrush. We're going to reduce the size down to about 2%. We want to just show that there's a little bit of light here trickling onto here. So I'm actually going to reduce the brush size to a small 2% and just go left to right. And we're just going to emphasize the center a little bit more, just where the lighting is just bouncing down from the neon onto there. The T here is also going to cause a little bit of color. So we're just going to go backwards and forwards here, just showing that there is a nice brighter area there. And likewise the S. And because we drawing assisted it, it's done the other side for us at the same time. So this is just sort of making sure the things that we're adding lighting wise are affecting the rest of the environment around it. If you want to, you could go ahead and increase the brush size up to maybe 4% and very lightly just gloss over them, just diffusing the color just a little bit more. So this will give sort of a wider spread over the top of those areas. And there we go. We've got our nice little bit of color. We can go to our layer options as well and change the layer option from normal. And we can scroll down to add, and that will really just brighten up the top of the dials, just showing how bright those neon areas will be in the end. Perfect, so that is the slot area done in terms of inside this darker frame. We're not going to add anything else onto this. We're going to work on the sort of gold effect on the outside now. So we're going to go to our layers. I'm going to go down to that layer. We can go ahead and tap on the layer and alpha lock it and just paint directly on it. So let's go to our colors now. And we're going to first off grab this color here in the middle of the first column. We're going to make our brush size roughly around about sort of 5 or 6%. And we're going to start to shade from the bottom. So I'm going to just start in this gap here and blend up towards the middle point. I can come across the very bottom area if we need to. Just blend that out towards the top. I'm then going to go to my colors and grab the darkest tone at the bottom of the first column. And again, gloss from left to right and blend into that. So we end up with a nice dark tone into the red, into the yellow. And then we're going to go to our colors and grab our highlight tone, which is this color here. So the top of the second column. Reduce the brush size down to maybe 3%. And just here on the left, you can just run a line through. We can then maybe run another line through here. And if you want to, just run a line through the darker areas towards the bottom here. This is going to give you a really nice sort of chamfered gold look. And it will just take away that harshness of that edge a little bit more. And also just it up here as well, right on the edge, we want to just brighten this up, going side to side, just making sure we've got a nice bright area up there. Then we want to zoom in on the frame, and just in here, we're going to reduce our brush size down to about 2%. Just very lightly just introduce a little bit of a brighter tone on the inside edge here. Just a little bit. And that will nicely show on either side. And also when we zoom in again, just around the outside edge as well, just the tiniest little bit, just around the outside. Again, that'll just round off our sort of gold look. And then likewise, to contrast that, we're going to go to our colors and grab the darker tone at the bottom of the first column. And then towards the top area here, we're just going to just darken up in this corner here and push down the side, which is just going to, again, just round off the edge just the tiniest bit, and then we just need to push that into the center and keep going until we hit that center point. So just continue across this edge all the way to the center. And there we go. We'll have made that nice and round, nice and gold. Now what we're going to do is work on these side areas here in a similar fashion. So we're going to go to our layers. We're actually going to swipe this layer here that we're just working on to the left and duplicate it. And the bottom one out of the two, grab your cursor And we're going to go ahead and just grab the uniform option, scale it down in size, and then move it off to the right a little bit. This is just so we can get the size right. We'll color it in correctly in a second. And then when you let go, you'll end up with this nice edge that matches the curvature as well. If we then go to our layers and the layer above, which is this one, the frame that we've kept in position, if we tap on it and use the option of select, make sure color fill of course is turned off, and go back to your layer and the one underneath, tap on it and use the option of clear. So what you'll have done is you'll have got rid of the excess. So we're just left with this here now. And let's repeat the shading steps. So let's go to the layer, tap on it and alpha lock it. And go to your colors. And first of all, go to this color here in the top left. Go back to the layer, tap on it and use the option of fill. Then go to your colors again and grab this middle tone in the first column. Increase your brush size back up to 5 or 6% and just mimic what you've already done here beside it. So just blending this up here so we get the nice transition of colors. Then grab your colors again and grab the bottom color of the first column and blend that up as well. So just again creating a nice gradient of all these colors and the darker tone towards the bottom edge. Then we switch back to our colors and grab the top of the second column. Reduce the brush size down to say 3%. Towards the bottom edge here, I'm just going to add in the tiniest little bit there and just round this right hand edge. And then up here, again, we just run in some nice horizontal lines, which is going to act as sort of a shiny gold look. And you can reduce your brush size if you want to vary those lines up. This always looks good because it gives a little bit of a different look to the sort of metal. Run in some lines here from the side and brighten it up right on the top. There we go, that's the side profile done as well. Now we're going to duplicate this layer. So we're going to go to the layer, swipe it to the left and duplicate it. And the bottom one out the two, grab your cursor, grab the uniform option first of all and scale it down in size. Move it off to the right. Now you'll see we won't be able to move it just all the way here. So we need to grab our freeform option and just make that a little bit wider. I'm just dragging that out, stretching that out. And tap on your cursor when you're done. Now you will have then created the extra part that needs to run around the outside. This is where our handle is going to live as well. But of course, these are all going to cast shadows onto each other. So while we're here, we're just going to go to our layers. We're going to go to the one above that we were just working on prior. So the one closest to the frame. We're going to go to our colors and we're going to grab this tone here at the middle color of the fourth column. And with your brush set to about 2%, we're just going to create a shadow here. Pushing that around here and just casting a little bit of a shadow into there. So you can see it's quite thick towards the bottom and just thins out as it gets towards the top. And I can just probably emphasize that a little bit more. And then we'll do the same over here. So we go to our layers and go down a layer to the one on the right. And again, just emphasize it with a shadow and you create the depth effect straight away by doing this. And let's just get rid of the little glossy corner as well. And there we go, we've got some nice dials here that very much look like they're staggered behind each other. Let's then go ahead and go to our layers and pinch these two layers together. So the two bits on the edge, pinch them together, swipe the layer to the left and duplicate it. Zoom out of your canvas and go to your cursor and flip this horizontal and move it off to the left hand side. And we're going to make sure we move it perfectly across, make sure we hit those blue lines as always, just to make sure we're right the way across nice and evenly. And then tap on your cursor when you're done. And we just duplicated the work that we've done, moved it off to the other side, and things are super nice and symmetrical. Let's then add our handle in here. So we're going to go to our layers. We can pinch those two sides together if we wish, so pinch them together. We can even save on our layer count even more and actually pinch them to the frame that sits in front if you wish, so pinch them together. We can then go ahead and hit the new layer option at the top. Go to your colors. I'm going to grab this red here at the top of the fifth column. We're going to zoom in and we're going to go ahead and change our brush to Calligraphy and the monoline. And we're going to draw in a circle here. Pop your finger on the screen and drag and drop the red in. And we're going to go to our layers, and while we're working on it, create a new layer and drag it underneath the red dot. Go to your colors and grab this color here at the top of the fifth column from the right. And with your brush size, let's make the brush size, let's make it 50% there. From the center of the handle, just drag down towards this edge that we created. Now you want to just go slightly beyond it. You want to come a little bit too far across so that we can go to our eraser, tap on the eraser and make sure we're still using the monoline, which we are. And we're just going to chop off the bottom edge here, but rounding it off so it looks like it runs into the metal and like actually rests against it. So we're just going to round off this edge. There we go. So it makes it look like it's actually stuck onto that metal on the side there. Then what we want to do is, of course, just add some highlights and shadows. So go to the layer, tap on it and alpha lock it. This one's relatively straightforward. We just go to our colors and let's grab this tone here, the second color in the fourth column. Go to your brush and switch it to airbrushing and the soft brush. We're going to make it about 2%. And we're just going to brush first of all down the right hand edge and also underneath the handle at the top. A little something like that. Then go back to your colors and grab the white pretty much at the top of this column here. And just right on the edge, just go up and down that edge, just showing the sort of the shape a little bit rounded like so. But of course we need to add a shadow to show that this is actually on the little bit of metal there. So go to your colors again and grab this tone again, the second color in the fourth column. Go back to your layers, let's create a new layer and then drag that layer underneath the white stick that we just made. And we're going to go ahead and make our brush size roughly around 2% still. Just around the base of it, just darken it up and then push a shadow round here. So go around this and push it down and just push that round onto the metal. So that will make it look like it actually attaches there. And it's always good to just add in a sort of thicker bit of the shadow towards the bottom. And let's blend that in as we go around. And there we go, we've got a nice little shadow on there that makes that actually look like it's part of the design. And I'm actually now going to just gloss over that again with a 2% this time and just push that and fade that right out towards the bottom. If anything, if you go a little bit too firm, just go to your eraser, tap on it, change it to the soft brush and just blend it out towards the bottom. So really just fade that out as it goes further down. Let's then add some color onto the ball handle at the top. So we're going to go up to our layers and tap on that layer, tap on it and alpha lock it. Then go to your colors and we're going to grab this tone here at the top of the fourth column. And with your brush set to the soft airbrush, we're going to go ahead and make our brush size about 2% and just round this right hand side. Curving, you can see I'm not drawing in a straight line, I'm curving as I go. Just curving round here. And then also just round this top left edge as well, just the tiniest little bit there. Then go to your colors and grab this tone here at the bottom of the fifth column. And around the right hand side here, just the tiniest little bit of sort of reverb lighting. And then in this area here, just brighten this area up with a circle sort of motion. Just a circular little bit there. And that will brighten that top edge up just enough that you can see that we have our shadowed side and the highlighted side. Let's just make sure that the pink here and the yellow does reflect into the handle. So we're going to go to our colors here. We're going to grab this color here, the middle color in the second column. We're going to make our brush size very small, about 1%, and somewhat in line with where I can see that that pink area would come through. I'm just going to brighten this up and really press a bit firmer towards the center. Then go to my colors and grab the yellow above it in the second column and just add in a little bit of yellow here as well, where again we're just reflecting all the different lights that are coming across onto all the different surfaces. So there it just looks like it just nicely reflects those areas a little bit more. So that's our handle done with. We can go ahead now and actually go to the layers and pinch those three together. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to grab all of our designs. So we're going to select all of the layers excluding the background. So select all the layers, left to right, ignoring my guide. Grab your cursor and just move that down till we hit the orange line like so. You want to make sure though that the point of your jackpot is the center point. This will make it a little bit wider, so you don't want that node to be on the center there. So tap on your cursor when you're done. Now we're going to add in some cool stuff in the background just to finish this off. So we're going to go to our background layer down here, and we're going to create a new layer. We're going to go to our actions here, and we're going to go to canvas and edit the drawing guide. We're going to change it from symmetry. We're going to change the option to radial, and we're going to add on rotational symmetry. And then tap on done when you're done. Grab your colors, and we're going to grab this color here in the top left of the palette. And then we're going to go back to our layer, and the layer we made, tap on it and drawing assist it. Now what we can do is from the center point with my brush set to about 4%, we're just going to push out some lines like so, different weights, different pressures, so we get some nice variation like so. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to our eraser, tap on the eraser, make sure it's still the soft brush, make it a little bit bigger, around about sort of 20%, and we're going to erase round, so we create kind of like a vignette effect, just blending them out towards the edges. There we go, and all the lines will be towards the center a little bit more. We want to change the layer effect from this one, from normal, and we want to change this to color dodge. This will give us some really kind of nice pink, sort of brighter colors in the background, which I think nicely go along with the slots a little bit more. Then what we're going to need to do is we're going to go up to our actions, and we're going to go ahead and edit our drawing guide. We're going to change the symmetry option. We're going to go to options. We're going to make sure we turn off rotational symmetry, and we're going to change it to vertical again. Then we're going to hit done. And once we're back at our canvas, we're just going to now add in some extra lighting to make this still image really nice and bright and poppy. And then when we come to do the animated part in part 2, we'll potentially undo a few bits to then do the animation. But for now, to make a really cool image, we're going to go to our layers. We're going to go right to the top, and just above the 7 layer, we're going to create a new layer. We're going to go ahead and change the layer option from normal. I'm going to scroll down to my favorite add, and then we're going to go to our colors. We're going to grab this color here in the top left of the palette. We're going to make sure our brush is set under airbrushing to the soft brush, and the brush size could be about roughly sort of 6 or 7%, either one would do. And what we're going to do is, if we go to our layer and tap on it and make sure it's drawing assisted, if we brush our pen now over the yellow areas using the light tone now, we're really going to brighten them up and give them a lot more light. Now we do only want to run that on the yellow area, so potentially just grab your eraser. Where we've run over the L and the T, we're just going to grab our eraser, make sure it's the soft airbrush, and just erase over these letters, because we don't want any of that yellow just to spill too much on top of them. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go to our colors and grab the pink here in the 4th column from the right. Make our brush, yeah, still about 6% will do, and just in a circular motion go round and round and round on the S, round and round and round on the L, and round on the O. We'll probably need to just do that very lightly because it is a rotational symmetry or a symmetry line there, so it's going to do it on both sides. And then we can just increase our brush size to maybe again 6 or 7% and just spread that color out on the left and the right, maybe even upwards as well, just the tiniest bit, as well as a very light gloss here just on the top of the dials, which is really going to tie everything together. Now there's maybe one extra thing we could do in the background. If we go to our layers and go down to just in front of our little sort of flare lines in the background, if we were to create a new layer and tap on this and drawing assist it, and then go to our colors and grab this yellow here in the top left, I think we could just get away with just adding some yellow just in behind here, just the tiniest bit towards the center area, just to block that in the background there. And if we go ahead, let's get rid of our drawing guide. And if we pinch with 2 fingers and go full screen with 4, we end up with today's finished design. So I hope you enjoyed this Jackpot slots design, and as I mentioned, be sure to keep an eye out for part 2. I'll leave a link to it in the description down below when it is available. As always, be sure to come and share your designs with me over on Instagram. I look forward to seeing your creations. And if you didn't already know, I post 3 more exclusive tutorials every single month. And if you become a Patreon supporter, not only do you get access to over 40 more tutorials, you get your names featured in videos, sneak peeks of upcoming designs, and much, much more. So hit the links in the description down below and come and show your support. And with all that said, I'll see you in the next one.